I need all my scammer niggas, bring that cash out.
Right, here we are back at it again.
Hello.
Back at it again.
We are here. What's going on?
What's poppin'? How was y'all's night?
It was cool. I went to sleep early. I went to sleep like 11:30. And I woke up at like 6 this morning like an old lady.
I don't even know what time I went to bed. I don't think about it.
But your body's probably thinking it's 6, 7, 8.
Yeah,
8
I
or
feel like
9.
my body is like still in Chicago time.
Yeah.
So like I'm waking up at 6, but it's really like 7. And
Right.
that's usually the time I wake up in Chicago. Like I wake up like 7, 8. So
Like naturally?
Mm-hmm.
Do you stay up?
No, I actually go to sleep like pretty early. If I don't go out, I'll go to sleep at like 10:30, 11:30.
Yeah.
Like I sleep pretty early.
And then that's why you're up early.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Same.
I don't like waking up too late 'cause I feel like I waste my whole day.
I
And
agree.
I'm not productive. Like, I'll pretend that I'm going to be productive if I wake up like past 10,
Yeah.
but I won't do shit.
Isn't that weird? I think, me and my spiritual side, I think it has a lot to do with the sun, though. Like, when you
No, it does.
follow the
Yeah.
pattern of the sun, like, you just get more things done. You have the energy. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so, like, I try and rise with the sun. So,
Yeah.
like, 7:30,
Yeah.
I try and watch the sunrise. That's, like, a part of, my morning routine.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And if I wake up anytime past, like you said, like 10 o'clock,
Yeah,
The
I
day is
won't
done.
get
it's
anything
done.
done.
I
That
I
day
know
is a
it's
waste.
so weird. I can't. I just, even if I do one thing, it feels like
Yeah.
Just
what
a
happened?
waste.
It's already 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
Like,
I have a friend who lives in Alaska and they're currently having 21 days of sunlight. And I asked if they also have like 21 days of night, and they don't, but they have like days where the darkness is extended, but it's not like literally all day.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about the exact same thing, whereas because it's sunny all the time, her body is not doing the it's time to be sleepy thing.
Right.
And it is true. There is something about darkness that's nighttime,
Yeah.
and sunniness that's daytime.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
dark. Like when it gets dark outside, I don't want to do shit. I want to get drunk.
Yeah.
I want to go out and do
Yeah.
something. And just thinking about having to work at night is just no.
Yeah.
I won't do anything at
No,
all.
I agree.
Yeah.
I actually, and I may have talked about this, but a couple of years ago, I feel like the first step actually the first year was like listening to my intuition. The second year was I stopped using an alarm clock and I just started going to bed when I was tired,
Mhm.
waking up when my body naturally woke me up.
Mhm.
And I did that for like a year, and it got me on a really consistent schedule of like, I pretty much go to bed every single night between 12 or 2. 2 a.m. is my cutoff. So even if I'm not tired or I'm like, oh, I'm turning phones off, I'm in the bed, I'm closing my eyes, and I'll force myself to just go to sleep.
Mhm.
So 12 to 2. And then I typically wake up between like 8 and 9:30 every single morning. And I've been doing that for a couple years now. And
Yeah.
I just want to say that when you meet your basic needs, the rest of your life really is better.
Yeah.
Like, you really do feel better when you sleep, when you're tired,
Mhm.
when you drink and stay hydrated, when you're thirsty, when you
Mhm.
eat when you're hungry,
Yeah.
when you take a nap, when you really you like the basic needs thing.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't who would
Definitely.
have thought?
Yeah. It's
Just
like
basic needs.
our body really is meant to take care of itself.
Mhm.
Like, it's meant to take care of itself, and it's
But
like
we be fucking it
It's
up.
gonna tell you,
colonization.
yeah.
Correct. That, yes, like the capitalistic 9 to 5 whole fucking bullshit does not allow for proper rest cycles.
Right.
And working 5 days a week and then 2 days rest, that's not it. But also, I see a lot of people I feel like I've seen people make jokes around like, I wake up and I'll have an iced coffee and then I'm nauseous, so then I don't eat. And then I have another iced coffee and then, I can't eat. It's like this. It's like a joke.
Mhm.
But I'm also just like, feed yourself.
Yeah.
Please.
That's how I am.
You're nauseous because you're drinking iced coffee.
Yesterday I was so tired. I know it was because I have not eaten anything all day. And literally I went to go eat and I was fine.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just like, I don't know why I don't like eating like breakfast for some reason. So I will literally wait till like after like 12 or whatever. But then sometimes like if I'm doing something, then I won't be eating until like 4 or 5 in the afternoon. And by that time it's like,
You're
what
need
the
to eat.
hell? Yeah.
So would it, okay. Because I'm pretty sure that the thing around like breakfast is the most important meal a day, I'm pretty sure that's a lie.
Right.
I think that that's like another capitalistic colonization thing.
Mhm.
So I think it's fine that you don't eat like breakfast. But I think, let me ask, do you think it would be helpful to like add in a meal at 1?
It would.
Like a small meal even, not even like a big ass pancakes, sausage,
I will
all the
say
shit.
one thing about me, I may not eat like a big meal all the time, like around that time, but I do snack a lot. So I'm always eating. I'm eating something, but it's not actually something that's like filling. So I'm still like hungry.
Like nutritious.
Right. Yeah. Like this morning I had like a mango. And I had like a bag of chips.
I think that's good. I think like we said, like, I think like we said, like eating when you're hungry
is the goal.
Really the goal.
Yeah.
So if you're not hungry, you should not be trying to eat. Like if you're not. And eating a mango, that's awesome. Like that's great that you're eating a fucking mango. Because you were like, you eat junk food and all this other stuff. And you brought some chips, but you also brought mangoes, a pineapple, all this other shit. And I was like, bitch.
And some avocados.
The only
because I just snack a lot.
Also,
and I'm
waiting on the
Is the mango is it really, really dark orange and soft and sweet, or is it like?
No, it was super sweet. It was so good.
Do you have another one?
I have like 5.
Are they all that soft and sweet, do you think? I need them.
Yeah.
Because let me just say something. What I miss about Miami more than anything, but like besides the beach, is mangoes.
Galore.
And fruit in general.
Galore.
There is just like a different type of fruit in South Florida that does not exist in other places.
Yeah.
And I've tried to get mangoes here, and they're like hard and hard, and even if I let them sit out on the counter, they don't get to that really juicy.
But that's a certain kind of mango too, because like those also exist in Florida, and you make mango salad with it.
Correct, because you want it to be hard. Exactly.
Delicious.
However, I looked for the specific mango that I like in Miami is called a Keat mango. Okay. I think it's Kiett. And so they have them here, but they just don't taste
the same.
They don't get that soft. And I think part of it is because they're not native to this area. Right. So they pick them probably in Florida, but not when they're really ready. Yeah. And then they fucking ship them across the strait, across the states with ice probably. And that doesn't allow like the natural. So the whole thing, because in Miami, it's literally like them bitches are just like, you get them there and they're there and
literally,
they're warm
my
and
dad
delicious.
Is trying to get rid of, because his not even his backyard.
He has a mango tree.
His neighbor's backyard has 3 big ass mango trees that all fall over into his house.
Mail them to me.
And we take them, but like it feels like you know what I'm saying? Because you don't have the access to it as much. Yeah. It feels like you would want that, but it gets really annoying because we have so many.
That's my favorite. I will eat a mango every single day.
It's like the animals that come in because of it, the flies that you get because of it, the mess that you get because of it. Like it's just there's so much more to it. And
but they're friendly with sharing.
Yeah, because it's
too much.
Not even in. Yeah, it's so much, and it hangs over on my dad's property the most times. So like he had to talk to them about cutting it down because it's just that bad. He's keeping one, but he's cutting down the rest of them. It's too much.
I feel like any fruits and vegetables grown by like people like in their backyard just taste so much better for some reason. Like my dad, every summer he gardens. He does like basil, cilantro, tomatoes, cucumbers, like the little
they're way better than the store.
Pickles.
So good.
All habanero peppers, jalapenos, serrano, the tomatillos, which is like the little green tomatoes that we used to make salsa. When I tell you his tomatoes, I generally hate tomatoes. Like
they're disgusting.
In like burgers, anything. Like I just don't like them. I don't know how my dad makes them or plants them or whatever the fuck he uses. When I tell you they're so good, like my mouth is watering thinking about it. It's so good. So like every summer, once it's ready, I go and I'll take like a whole bag of tomatoes and I'll just eat them like that by themselves. That's how good they are. Like
they probably don't have chemicals and things that will kill you.
I don't know. Yeah. That shit is so good. Like to make a salsa, it's like the best salsa ever. And then my dad uses all of it. Like in the summertime, anything that he uses for vegetables is in his garden.
Of course.
It's so good.
That's fire. I really would like to have a fucking garden and just have my own
shit. And you would tend to it like frequently? Like you're into that?
Yeah.
See, I am an occasional gardener. You know what I mean? Like I like that I have plants in my house because I have plants in my house. I have like 3 plants in my house and I take care of them. But I also make sure that these plants are plants that I can water ever so often.
Yeah, like if you forget about them, they won't die.
And it's like I love that. I love when I'm planting them in that time. But I just have my phases where I'm like, I really want to be planting right now. And then other times it's like I'll just water
kids,
it and
you have to actually pay attention. You can't
I don't know. Like my dad, he's like really into that. And I've never really gotten into plants like that. Like I'll help him like plant shit or whatever like that. But my dad, that's like his hobby. Like in the summertime.
And that's amazing because it like yields amazing things.
Yeah, his house, like in the summertime, the whole front, he'll have like, I swear, like 10 different types of flowers, roses, all types of, like, it's always really, really nice. But it's definitely a lot of work. Like my dad's out there like all day taking care of that shit.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel like I could do a garden.
I feel like you could
In my last apartment, I had literally like 14 plants.
Yeah.
One of which was a hibiscus tree, and that shit is fucking, it takes a lot of attention.
My dad has like 4 of those.
They are like children, literally. And actually so much so that when I moved out of Miami, so there's this place that I would get all of my indoor plants from. It was like a mom and pop kind of store. I did not get the hibiscus tree from there. But when I moved, I called the mom and pop store and said, please come and take all of my plants so I don't have to throw them away. And would you be down to take the hibiscus, even though it's not from your store, because I don't want to.
Right.
So it's my child. I have given so much fucking time and attention to this goddamn tree. Yeah. And I can't take it with me. And they did take it and they put it in their like little gazebo backyard thing. So I'm very happy. But yeah, them bitches take a lot of fucking work.
Did you use the hibiscus for like tea or anything like that?
I didn't. Yeah. I didn't, and I totally could have. And I don't even know that I like thought of that until like later. And then I was like, oh.
Yeah,
hibiscus, that's the whole point.
Starbucks, the strawberry hibiscus.
I get I go to the little like Latin supermarket and they have whatever that it's however you say hibiscus in Spanish.
Yeah.
They have
it's called Jamaica. That's what they call it.
And it's
like a dark purple.
So good.
So I had that the whole time and I could have did it and I totally didn't.
So good. Yummy.
Well, now I know.
So Raquel's a gardener in her your spare time.
I definitely want to garden. I feel like I'm going to be gardening when I get older too. Just because I grew up just watching it all the time.
Yeah.
And helping my dad do it. Like I know how to do it. I just don't have any plants, which I should have like at least one plant in my apartment. But
Start getting in the process. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get you some
it is
extra oxygen in your
and that too.
In your area.
I feel like in addition to plants and gardening, and that I would like to one day have a bigger garden as well. I have become a bird lady. So not only am I now a cat lady, for sure, I am a full-on bird lady. I have like 4 feeders, one of which is a hummingbird feeder. I got them a bird bath. And there's hella birds in my backyard all the time.
Those are the only pets that I've ever had was birds.
Really?
When I was Mexicans love birds.
Like, interesting.
I swear to God, like you'll never go like old school Mexicans. Like every day they got birds.
Like you have cage in your house with the birds in them.
But we have some at my dad's house right now too. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Growing up, I had 4 birds when I was
What
little.
kind of birds are they?
Right.
I had 3 parakeets, so the little small ones. Like one was like teal, one was like dark blue, and another one had like green and blue. Yeah. I had a parrot, and then I think they're called like cockatoos with the little mohawk.
Yeah, they're the ones that be dancing and shit.
Yeah, my cousin in Mexico has one, and it's like the coolest shit ever. Like she had it since it was a baby, and she has like a little scooter because out there they're like in scooters and stuff. Yeah. She'll literally be driving around in her scooter. And the bird will be on her shoulder, just chilling. She's going fast as hell, so I know the bird is like holding on. But she'll be driving around her helmet and scooter, and the little bird. It's like the funniest.
No, that's the cutest shit
It's
ever.
really, really cute.
There was a guy who used to come into the bank all the time who had a bird. I don't know what kind of bird it was.
Brought him into the bank?
Buddy. Yeah, and I was with. The people I worked with loved animals, so we had no problem with animals coming inside like all the time. And the little bird would talk, first of all. He would repeat things, and then he would come behind the teller line. Like he would, there's like a little ass space, and he would just come back there.
Like, oh, what's up?
Like,
what's
and
good?
just vibing. But whenever the guy would turn around and walk away, you just see his back is full of shit. Like it's just bird shit all over his back. But his name was Buddy. Buddy was just always on his shoulder.
He knew that there was bird shit, right?
I'm pretty sure.
Like,
yes.
Like he felt that hot shit.
Yeah,
like just blowing on his shirt.
I feel like it just comes with the, just like how us as cat women know we're gonna have cat hair all over, and no matter what, and there's nothing we can do, and that's just what it is.
Except cats are so embarrassing sometimes because I feel like when I'm alone with my cats, they're pretty fine. But like as soon as somebody comes over or I have somebody spend the night, then they want to be knocking shit down. They want to be running around, making help. They want to be meowing in weird ways that they normally don't do. And if the person who's over the house is not a cat person, then it's even more embarrassing because they're like, what the fuck is going on with your pet? And I'm just like, sorry.
It's like they live to make people uncomfortable.
Exactly. They just want to be so embarrassing.
It's every
like, why do you have to embarrass me?
It's like they feel when the person is not a cat person
and do extra shit.
Like,
they want
and
to
they rub it all up against them. And it's just like, and I thought about this the other day, and I just still want to apologize for my cat and how she fucked you up.
Wait, what?
Little baby became a murderer.
She very quickly. She doesn't know how to hang out with anybody else.
But I had her at my house once, and it was fine.
And then
we cat sat.
Yes.
And when I had other cats, but she was really a tiny like kitten at that point.
Right.
So my cats were like. And my cats are really friendly and just like really lovable. So they're
you get so lucky like that.
Yeah,
Every single cat that you've gotten
are always so nice
like,
and love each other.
Chan saw me and like I tried to pet him and he looked at me and then I'm like, don't you miss me? Don't you remember me? And he just looked at me and then like literally 3 seconds later he was like rubbing my leg.
I did get
remembers me.
Yeah. But they were trying to, they were just trying to smell her and be like, oh, what's up?
Yeah.
And it was fine the first time. So we were like, cool, good to know. Second time.
She
didn't go.
Nice. Like Raquel literally sent me a picture of her hand bleeding from Chloe just being very not nice. Just very not nice. Yeah. She's changed a lot though.
I'm sure.
She's changed so much. And having the second cat, that also helps a lot. They are still not close though. Like I don't know if it's it's a her thing. It's definitely a her thing. She doesn't really like that. She's very, when she wants to give it to you, she'll give it to you. So like they get every year, sometimes. I feel like they get closer and closer to like cuddling.
Yeah.
And they haven't, but we'll get there. We're working on it slowly but surely.
Yeah. She literally just like freaked out and was like, I think we had her in a thing, not a crib, but like a crib for cats.
Yeah.
And I think that, I don't remember exactly what happened, but I think it was one of the cats. They got into it or something, and then I was trying to like separate them, and then that was unsuccessful because it was literally like the movies where they like latch onto you and they're like,
yeah.
And I was like, oh
my God. Raquel was like, come get this bitch.
I don't know. And I was like, yeah, it's time to go.
Yeah.
I don't know how I have had all good cats because the funny thing is, or rather not good cats, sweet cats. Because the thing is, my cats growing up, also, I've had really mean cats.
Yeah.
Like my grandparents, they had a girl cat. Also, typically my experience is that it's girl cats that are more aggressive and like territorial, short-tempered.
Yeah.
So my grandparents had a girl cat. She was a total fucking cunt. Like you cannot pet her. Do not come near her. She will attack you even if you're not. So if we're just sitting here, she might come in the room and be like, what's up? And then like walk by and be like, and just like attack you. So you never know, but she'll never attack my grandparents. So then it was like, they're the special ones.
Right.
Everybody else is open season, bitch. And then my mom, when I was really, really young, had a girl cat also, Kayla, and she was the same way. She was like less attacky, but she was just like, I don't know about you bitches.
Yeah.
Right. So it's always been like the girl cats who have been mean or just like to themselves or having a little stank ass attitude. And I don't know if that's like reflected in like the lion world, if like
right,
cats
aren't lionesses? Aren't they the ones who hunt and do all that shit? Not
So my brain is thinking that like passed down through the generations of cats.
Yeah.
The boy cats are really sweet because they're pussies, literally.
Literally.
And the girl cats are the ones who were doing that. And that's why Princess the other day killed a fucking bird.
Princess is wild.
Murdered a literal fucking bird.
Princess is wild.
Murdered a whole
I can't wait to meet her. I'm excited to meet her.
She's really cute. She's really,
so
really cute.
Like, she's so cute. I can't wait to meet her.
Yeah.
She's straight up.
Murderer.
And a good sized bird. It was not a small bird.
It wasn't a small bird. Yeah. Like, she really... If an apocalypse ever happened, you're gonna survive because Princess is gonna bring you food. Correct. She's gonna bring you birds and shit.
Yeah, my cats ain't doing that shit. My cats are spoiled as fuck. Like they aren't doing that shit at all.
You don't think if they were outside they wouldn't have like the instinctual like click and then would get something?
I think Boomer would. The boy cat, yes, he would. Chloe, she really has no she was born and then immediately put into
a house,
the human world. And so she has no idea. And so like when we try and like the laser, the laser, Boomer doesn't even give her a chance because she like is a calculator. She sits back. She has to watch it.
Right.
She has to figure it out. She has to see. And then by that time, bitch, it's gone. Like you lost it. And so it's like, I don't think she's not gonna be helpful. She would not be successful at all. Boomer beats her every single time. Like whatever. And he's sweet to everybody else, but to her, he's the little brother. He's the annoying little brother, and she'll be minding her business, and then he'll just slap the shit out of her, like out of nowhere, just slap the shit out of her, and then it's just entertainment. Just entertainment all day, every day.
The babies. Yeah. I love the babies.
You know, that's those are the things we do in our real life.
Correct. Exactly. Are y'all cool if we get into this just the tip kind of early?
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right. So the question is getting plastic surgery feminist? Like, if you get plastic surgery, can you call yourself a feminist? And I'm not even gonna lie to you. I want to be forthright. This was not a submission question. This was my submission question because there's this girl TikTok. I feel like I need to get paid for shouting out TikTok. This is like my 4th time saying TikTok. Okay, there is this girl on there, and it's so funny because she honestly reminds me a lot of me when like 3 or 4 years ago. Because like my evolution on Twitter, like there was a good, and I'm still this way, but there was a good chunk of time where I was just like an angry ass, any man who speaks to me, bitch, I'm dragging you the fuck out. Like that was like kind of what my thing was. Mm-hmm. And so she's at that place too. And I think she's also younger. So she reminds me of me. And I'm like, I love that you're like so like militant in that way. But she's doing this thing where she's talking about surgery and feminism. And it's rubbing me the wrong way. And I don't know if she's not a sex worker. So like there's that. If you're not a sex worker, I just like already don't trust you. So that's just like part of it. But I also just feel like she's missing that lens, that angle, because her entire kind of rationalization is that plastic surgery is informed by the male gaze. So if we were on some planet or whatever where no patriarchy existed, and she says men, but what she really means to say is patriarchy. No patriarchy existed, and it was just women or non-men thriving. Would we give a fuck about putting filler in our lips or getting a boob job? And she's like, no, we wouldn't. It's the male gaze that informs largely. And then she says that she has like, footnote, I'm not including gender affirming surgery in this, which that's interesting. And I want to circle back to that. So she like says, I don't include that, but everything else in terms of plastic surgery, not like, if you have to get, if it's like something medical or some shit. Right. So I've been watching that conversation evolve. And again, she's very militant how she approaches the situation. And I have commented a couple times just like, what's the goal of this conversation? And like, also, can you give a lens on sex work? Like, because I'm just wondering, and I don't know. So I just want to throw it out there and just see what are our thoughts on that? Is plastic surgery feminist?
I feel like I kind of get what she's saying because I mean, I don't know.
What's coming up for you as you think about it? Because I'm going to tell you what comes up for me.
What comes up for me, okay, because I think about it like why I got it. And I got a BBL and liposuction because I'm a sex worker and I knew that would make me more money.
Yep.
And ultimately that is kind of catering to the male gaze though.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm not going to sit here and say that I didn't get that done for that reason, because if I really didn't give a fuck about the male gaze, then I would have not gotten it done.
Probably not.
I also got it done though because I did want to get my body. I've always wanted to get my body done. I've always wanted to look a certain way. I didn't like how my body was looking. I didn't feel confident filming content. I didn't want to shoot content because I didn't feel cute. And also because like when you see like if you're in, especially like in the OnlyFans bubble and shit like that, like you see like all like the top paying models and they all do look a certain way. Like
they definitely do.
They all have big booties, hips, small stomach,
waist,
big boobs, all of that. So to me, it's like, okay, well, if that's what it takes to make 60,000 or whatever, how many thousand a month, then bitch, I'm gonna go get that shit done so I can be up there too. So it was like also like all those things, but I don't know.
Some of that is male gaze too, right?
Yeah,
like if you were to think back on like when you first started conceptualizing, like, yeah, I would like to get my body done. My assumption, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, would be that part of that was, even if it wasn't direct, like a man saying, your body's not good enough, it was like the overarching culture, which is men saying, here's how you are supposed to look, kind of thing.
No, yeah.
It's interesting. Okay, what are your thoughts?
I am weird with like titles, right? So like, I don't know exactly what it's supposed to mean to be feminist. Like, I don't really understand that concept.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. Titles are just weird for me. So to like group everybody in that is weird. So like, I feel like, you know, in the things that that I do know about feminism or whatever the case is, it's like about loving the woman that you are, no matter what it is. So like, if I decide to do that, then it should be supported because that was my decision.
Yeah.
So it's like you both said, I get what she's saying, but also I feel like from what I take of feminism and when I think of being a feminist, it's like
autonomy.
This exists, yes, like this side of this exists, but also do your thing. Like, so I don't, there's that.
That's a good point. The first part of what you said as well, because feminism is very broadly defined and can differ depending on who you're talking to. Because there's like the turf and swerve feminists who are like, it's about cisgender womb pussy having
periods
white
and
woman,
bullshit,
pussy power, be exactly all of that.
Right.
And then there's like the Black queer womanists who I don't even think they would identify as feminists, womanists who are queer friendly and about disrupting like patriarchy and transphobia and misogyny and maybe not so much whorephobia. And then there's like feminists who are sex workers and who are like, yeah, sex work is central to my feminism. And there's like feminists who are like, I want men to fucking burn, kill all men. And there are some feminists who are like, no, we want equality.
Right.
Bitch, I don't want to be equal to men.
Yeah.
So it's like, feminism for sure is definitely like, unfortunately, and this goes back to what we've talked about before, like we're never going to get free and we're never going to have any kind of collective unity because, even amongst like the feminist group, there are so many different like praxis.
Yeah.
So I feel like similar to what y'all have said, I have to be honest with myself that as I'm watching her, the immediate thing that came to me is that I'm a hypocrite.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't want to agree with you because exactly. I'm like, well, bitch, if I agree, that means I'm not whatever, and that, I don't like how that makes me feel. So my knee-jerk reaction was like, nah, fuck you, you're wrong.
Right.
Is she wrong? She's not wrong.
Right.
No. She's not wrong. Right. She's not.
She's
and
not
then like
wrong.
that's what,
because I mean, essentially also like, you know, throughout times, like the beauty standards change, right?
Yeah, right.
So like right now we are in a beauty standard that is
BBL
body.
Right. Yeah.
And that essentially is because like a lot of men like that shit.
Correct.
And so it's like if you get a BBL, you are giving
catering
into
to
that.
men,
You are catering to them. Like,
But to say like if a place existed, I guess like you said, without patriarchy, that's completely different as opposed to without men.
And this is why I question her lens a little bit. And also not in a way where I'm like, you don't know things, but because the difference, the real question isn't men or not men.
Right.
It's patriarchy. And the reality is that women perpetuate patriarchy as well, which is why we do shit that's patriarchal and support things that are patriarchal. So it's not a society without men. It's a society where there's no patriarchy. And as a result, no whorephobia, no transphobia, no misogyny, no whatever the fuck else. So also, we can't imagine that. The real reality is, and I understand what she's saying because, and I like that she's challenging people. And I like that I felt challenged by the question and that I felt seen and dragged. It was kind of a self-drag. And there is no way that we actually can conceptualize what a world without patriarchy would be for us to be like, oh, I wouldn't get it done, which doesn't mean it's not a male gaze and whatever, but we cannot
we don't know.
Or even
that.
A world without cosmetic surgery. Like, like it exists, so we use, you know what I mean? Like we use it because it exists. Like, and that's just what it is. So people always are, I feel like humans are always trying to find a way to be different from, to stand out from, to group with or to identify with something. So, you know, and how we dress and how we wear our hair and how we, you know what I'm saying? So body is just something else. Like there's gonna people started wearing makeup for whatever reason, you know what I mean? And it's just like, so I started it here. So it's just, you never know.
But then also, like, if we think about the makeup industry, like, they make money based off our insecurities. Absolutely. In reality.
Which is
and so,
patriarchy.
Like, plastic surgery is the same way. Like, you don't like your rolls on your back? Well, bitch, come get some lipo. Oh, you have a flat ass? Well, come get a BBL.
Correct.
Oh, you don't like that double chin? Well, get some chin lipo.
But I just feel like that's always existed.
No, it has.
Like, regardless of, even if you go back to, like, the tribal days of makeup, like a leader of the tribe wore certain kind of makeup because they were up there and they were that bitch, you know what I mean? And so you look to, you know, you want to wear that makeup. You want to be able to get that done because of, you know?
I think that's a very different though. Like them wearing makeup, like it represented like something.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't necessarily say that like us wearing our makeup now represents anything.
Yeah. But it makes you like identify yourself a certain way. Like it puts you in a certain class or it puts you in a certain group as a like you having your lashes done and your makeup done as opposed to the girl who is not. Like you guys are now, you know what I mean? Different. You guys are identified differently because of that.
And I guess the question becomes, and I don't know enough or anything at all about like indigenous culture to be able to even speak to some of this. Mm-hmm. But I feel like the question for me becomes in differentiating those two things would be because body modifications have always existed.
It's always been
some,
a thing.
Right, in some concept, right? And so I guess the context in which the body modifications exist is what really makes the difference. Because the body modifications around boob jobs and nose jobs. So I think even like back in like the 50s and like 40s, people weren't really getting fucking BBLs and shit, but they were getting their nose because that was anti-Semitism. How do you say that word?
Yeah.
Because there's like an association with looking Jewish. So people got their noses done. Some actresses would get their tits done because it was like, movie star Marilyn Monroe type shit. So, and again, the context of both of those things will be different from like indigenous cultures. And that's not to say that patriarchy doesn't exist in indigenous culture. So this is why I feel like I can't even speak on that. Because I don't fucking know. But I know what I can speak from what I do know, which is in the context of patriarchy, which largely has existed for fucking ever. I don't think that getting any kind of surgery is a feminist practice, nor does it really need to be. But
I don't. That's a good point. I don't think it needs to be a feminist thing, and I understand why people get it.
Yeah,
especially me working like in the sex industry, I get why people get it done.
Absolutely.
So that's why I don't like. I'm not. Should I put my deposit down today for my second round? So, I mean,
You want your ass to be bigger?
Well, I'm not. I'm getting more lipo. Okay. I'm not getting a bigger ass. I'm just getting a little bit more on my hips. But I'm definitely getting a lot of lipo. Like I'm getting chin lipo, arm lipo, lipo 360. So I'm getting in September.
How big do you want your ass to be?
No, I'm not getting more in my ass. Okay. My ass, I'm not touching it.
Your ass is huge.
And it's going to get huger with everything. Like your waist
I'm just getting a little bit more in my hips. I'm not getting nothing more in my ass. I know everybody keeps telling me don't put nothing more in my ass. I'm not putting more in my ass.
I mean, you could. Don't worry. And it's going to be huge.
I don't want to. Because I feel like I'm going to look really, because I'm short.
You're going to look like a horse.
I'm going to look crazy. So I'm not getting a bigger ass. I'm just getting a little bit more in my hips.
But just know the smaller your waist is, the bigger your hips is, the bigger your ass. I'm getting lipo for sure. And I'm getting a discount because I'm going back to my doctor.
Yeah.
They give discounts for the second.
You're going to go to the same one.
Yeah. So I'm going to go back.
Sit for you.
But so.
Nor does it need to be.
It
doesn't need to be a feminist.
Shit done.
Yeah, do your thing.
Now I don't give a fuck about what people think about me. Honestly, like my first time I got it done, it was definitely like, I want to look better so I can get more subscribers for OnlyFans and look more comfortable. Like, when I take pictures, because I was like, before I got like my BBL and lipo, I was very insecure. Like I was just seeing everybody looking like fine as shit with their BBL bodies, and I'm like, bitch, what the fuck? Like, no.
And you were fine as shit before you got your BBL.
And I'm not saying I wasn't. I just didn't feel
which is fine.
I didn't feel confident, and I didn't feel like I could compete.
And do you now?
Now I do feel like I can.
Yeah,
in the category that you were
I'm in.
Correct.
Right, because
not an average bitch. No. Not if you move to fucking Idaho.
No, like in the category that I'm trying to be like in the big booty Latina category.
Exactly.
I feel like I can compete in that market now.
Exactly.
Like
because like for me, in like the BBW world, I'm small.
Right.
And so it's like, it's completely opposite for me because, and hard for me to be like a successful content creator in the space that I'm at. It's like, I either have to go either way.
Yeah.
It's like, I either have to blow the fuck up or I gotta get a BBL.
Exactly.
And so I'm in a weird ass space, but in me trying to be myself and not and once again, not to say that getting surgery isn't loving yourself, but how I am choosing to love myself is that I just want to exist.
Yeah.
And like, period. And so I want to make money doing that. And it's working.
Yeah. And the other thing that's interesting that is being pointed out here is that both of these categories are centered around like fetishization. Mm-hmm. So it's like, this is the big booty Latina and that's fetishized by men.
Right.
And then the BBW category of what the right kind of BBW looks like is also fetishization from men, right? So it's like, and so this is why the first thing that I commented on the very first video of hers that I saw was, what's the goal? What's the end goal of this? Because I don't think that the discussion itself is a unproductive one or not useful.
What is the goal?
So when we get to the answer, now what?
Right.
Does that mean that all of the work that I have done as a feminist person is like null and void? Does it mean I need to undo my surgery? Like, what is it? Now what do we do with this information?
Because then, especially because one of the things that a lot of anti-sex work people say is that the whole thing of sex work existing caters to men. Mm-hmm. So then, will that like negate sex work all in general then if we were to go down that route?
What is the fucking end goal?
Exactly.
And also, there's so many things. Yeah. Because then the other thing is like, I'm playing the cards that have been dealt to me.
Right.
So I'm trying to navigate this bitch,
as best.
This hellhole, the best I motherfucking can. And if that means bitches are going to be getting nipped and tucked every couple of years, guess what bitches are doing? Getting nipped and tucked.
Every year if I need
to. You feel me? So that's how I'm choosing to navigate this shit fucking hole, is figuring out. And that's also plays into my identity as a sex worker. Because if I wasn't a sex worker, I wouldn't actually, not that I wouldn't care, but I would have less concern around some of that. Because I know for me, before I started, first of all, I've never been extremely insecure about my body. That has like never been my thing. I have always felt like I'm beautiful. So I'm like, it doesn't matter how my body looks. I'm a beautiful ass bitch. And that has been how I've been treated my whole life. So literally up until I got my BBL, I was shaped like a refrigerator. I was square as fuck with, do you know those pictures of people? It's like, what is that show, King of the Hill? I think there's like a picture of like their ass and it's like goes like this.
Right.
That's literally like how my body looked before I got a BBL. I still have fat rolls, but I had back fat rolls, no ass, no hips, square as fuck, and a fupa. I never gave a fuck about that. I literally don't have any recollection or memory of me being like, I gotta do. Never. I just didn't give a fuck.
I did.
But when I when I wanted to become and then later became a sex worker, the first thing I did was I got my body done. Not because I'm like, oh, I'm so insecure. It's because I want to, Black China is my role model here. Right. So I'm going to look like Black China, which means I'm going to get my ass done. So, so I don't know. It's just like, I agree with her, full stop, period. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what the end goal is, period. And I'm a sex worker and I'm navigating the cards that have been dealt to me, period. And so where do we go from here? I don't know.
Yeah.
I think the theme of all of our episodes we're recording is worry about your damn self.
Right.
Because that's ultimately what it is. Just like whatever makes you happy, however it works, however you are finding a way to navigate through this shithole is what you're going to do, because it's survival of the fittest. However that is what nature has literally put in us. Whether you have a pea-sized brain or not, you know that you are trying to survive.
Gotta make it through this bitch.
So however you going to do it, fucking do it.
I will also say that there, of course, is like an angle of like class and power and privilege, because the other piece of this is that people who have access to getting surgery are also in a specific category of people who have power and privilege. Like the fact that we can even pay for fucking BBLs and a round 2 of a BBL. And I'm totally down with that criticism, right? Like, that is a thing that exists.
Yeah.
The other thing that I wanted to circle back to was the fact that she said she separated gender affirming surgery from this.
Yeah.
And I found that really interesting because and again, this is my criticism of her, like, her what's the word, flourishing politic, and she's building it from my assumption. Because, okay, how do I say this?
Wouldn't
carefully?
That be...
The thing is, gender-affirming surgery is a result of colonization, patriarchy, blah, 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 as well.
Right.
Because the assumption and the suggestion is that you cannot exist as you are in this body. So what you must do in order to be cis-passing, cis-affirming, cis-enough is get this surgery.
Right.
And it's fine if people do choose to do that. And then there's also the lens of class and power too, because the majority of people who are getting gender-affirming surgery are like the white trans folks who have fucking money and who started like moans when they were like 13 before they hit puberty and shit. Like a lot of like Black and brown and indigenous, like queer and trans folks, they're not fucking doing that. They don't have access to that. And sex workers as well, like Black queer sex workers or Black trans sex workers. So I just think that that's interesting that she like separated that, because technically, and again, it's not to say that it's the same thing. Not to say that I don't support people who are getting gender-affirming surgery.
Right.
It is to say that the assumption there is from colonization suggesting your body is not okay how it is.
And you need to change it.
Right.
So it's all
cyclical.
Exactly. It's all very interesting. And again, I think ultimately for me is I don't understand the end goal of that conversation, especially with the amount of like aggression she had with it. However, I don't think that the point of the conversation is a bad one.
Right.
I think it is good for us to think about how we are serving and catering to and navigating the male gaze and like the things that we're doing to change ourselves to fit into things and blah, 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 blah. I think that is a good conversation.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know.
Also, I'm going to still be paying these plastic surgeries.
There you go.
Do your thing.
I need all my scammer niggas, bring that cash.